Hey folks, I'm just waiting for folks to come on. I first want to say I want to thank everybody for for the folks who've just been in my corner and have been so good to me for so many years. I want to just say that the last 9 years in our movement has been hard and challenging and amazing and brilliant. And I'm specifically going through like a deep accountability process with the people I love and trust me. And the right-wing media and right-wing pundits are creating have created an incredibly dangerous environment for me. This morning, I woke up to Candace Owens being outside of my house with a news crew. She was demanding that I come outside. And when I looked at the video recording of what she was asking about, she was actually asking about the Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation property. And for some reason, it seems like she thought my house was that. It's unacceptable and it's dangerous that any stranger come outside of my house, but it's really unacceptable and dangerous when Candace Owens, another Black woman who is actually working as a part of a right-wing agenda, comes outside of my house with cameras. As you all know, I've experienced, and many of us have experienced, death threats. Many of us have children. Many of us are super vulnerable. And the fact that she's came outside my house and demanded things, harassed me, is unacceptable. It is unacceptable. And I'm going to keep doing the work I need to do to make sure that I'm in right relationship with my community, but I'm not going to let the right wing and right-wing pundits and media try to drive me against my community and have the community driven against me. I'm begging and pleading with all of you all to pay attention to what's happening to me and to many other people, many other leaders inside of this movement. Pay attention to what's happening, because what happened to me today has the potential to open up the floodgates of many other right-wing people that may next time be bearing arms, that may next time be more violent. This is unacceptable. Black people should be able to fight for our rights, for our right to live without being harassed, without being, without fearing for our lives, without having people, strangers, show up to our private and personal property. I am, I'm still in shock. Thank God I called, obviously, my team. Thank God for community, for Black community, for Black movement community here in Los Angeles. I just really, really, like, y'all, I really need my family to be safe. I need to be safe. I need my child to be safe. And this, what happened this morning is not safety. It's not what I deserve. It's not what any of us deserve. So just be diligent when you see shit in the media and you see shit that's being talked about. Please be diligent, because they are purposefully doing this. They are purposefully building a wedge between Black people, because they know that when we are together, we're stronger, and they've seen what we've done this last decade. They've seen what we've done. And so they're literally trying to destroy us. They're trying to destroy me. They're trying to destroy the movement. And I just need us to be stronger. I need us to be more diligent. I need us to be more present. I need us to be clearer. I need us to be accountable. I love y'all so much. Pray for me, pray for my family, and pray and check on Black organizers, because this backlash that we're seeing.
So this is insane. In real time right now, I am watching Patrisse Cullors do a live claiming that I went to her property and demanded to speak to her. And she's, I only way I can describe it is she sounds like she's really scared. We're working on a documentary talking about all of the funding pertaining to Black Lives Matter. Obviously, we know that Patrisse and a lot of the founders purchased $1 million homes in white neighborhoods. They also purchased a Black Lives Matter property. So we went to the property and asked if there was anyone that we could speak to, very politely, by the way. We've got cameras in tow, so there's no way she can, it's all on camera. And we just said, is there anyone we can speak to? Nobody asked us to leave. The person went inside. It was just a white man that we saw outside that was providing security, which is super interesting because obviously Patrisse here is anti-police. And so she's, oh my God, I think she's crying on this live, pretending that she was harassed. Like I said, very politely to the guy, is there anyone we can speak to? My name's CANDACE Owens. We never went over the gate. It was just me ringing the doorbell, trying to speak to someone. He said absolutely nothing. He started just recording us. And we said, okay, if there's no one we can speak to, we're going to leave. Patrisse is pretending to be scared because she knows that this Black Lives Matter lie is falling apart. And she doesn't know what to do. I mean, people are aware of the scam that is Black Lives Matter. She's intentionally limited the comments, so you can't even comment on this post, because I was going to comment and be like, this is a complete lie, and we have it all on camera in terms of what happened. So what you are seeing right now is the face of a woman who is pretending she's afraid of right-wing pundits, when in reality, she's being exposed as a fraud who took millions, used the faces of Black people, took millions of dollars to fund herself, to fund her lifestyle, to fund her girlfriend, and to buy $1 million mansions in neighborhoods where no Black people live. So Patrisse, this footage this story that we're covering is a significant one. I have always been interested in the fraud that is Black Lives Matter, your fake tears, your crocodile tears about someone politely ringing your gate and speaking to your white security guard and asking if there was anyone that I could talk to because I was covering the story. Not really going to cut it, Patrisse. This is only going to commit me further to discovering the truth about what you have done with this funding. Black people died. You used their faces to raise money. You demanded that the policing be stopped. You demanded that police officers be defunded, but you've got a private security detail outside of $1 million homes. It just doesn't work this way, sweetheart. So the truth shall set you free, or CANDACE Owens shall set you free, girl, because I'm about to tell the truth. All right, we're still filming. Bye.
Wow. A whole mess.
Yeah.
A whole mess. Well, good morning. Welcome to the Lapeef Network. First of all, I want to say happy Mother's Day. Today is Sunday, May 8th. And again, happy Mother's Day to everyone watching at home and the lovely ladies on the panel, Amber, Kelly, and Lady T. Want to send you guys a special shout out. Mothers are a cornerstone to our Black community and to, this country. And even though to me, every day is Mother's Day, I'm glad that we get a chance to give you guys a special shout out. So happy Mother's Day to y'all.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
Happy
you.
Mother's Day,
Happy,
ladies.
And happy
thank
Mother's Day.
you. Thank you. Happy Mother's Day to the
Celebrate
ladies
great.
here as well, and to the
Um,
moms
Ow.
that are watching, and to
Yes.
the moms that are, the moms that are suffering with those silent issues that no one wants to talk about, and to the aunties that maybe didn't have their own kids but supported our babies or supported us, our tribe. All of you, happy Mother's Day.
Thank
Yes,
you.
agreed. There's a lot of ladies out there who may not have children, but they've done plenty of babysitting.
Mm-hmm.
So they deserve a lot of love too. Older women and younger women. They may not have had a child come out of them, but they did a lot of raising of, especially early on. The newborn to 4 or 5 stages. That time is crucial, and that's when the most babysitting happens. So send a shout out to all the babysitters out there too. You are not forgotten on this day.
And sending love and light to those who unfortunately not able to spend time with their mother because she's in a, better place. Love and light to everybody who's also experiencing that as well today.
Yep.
Yes. But with that, we just heard what was going on in regards to Black Lives Matter and their finances, and Candace Owens and her mission to expose the truth in terms of whatever that means to her. Sway, first of all, I want to introduce everyone. Hello, Amber, Kelly, Hink, Jay, welcome back. Sway, welcome back. Lady T and Avon. Sway, I see you got the caps already ready. You know what I mean? How are you feeling about this? Just if we want to keep it to sports, because this is Lapeef Sports, is this going to be a bad look? I mean, imagine all that has gone on, everything that, all of your favorite sports players have, come out in support of Black Lives Matter. I mean, football, they got them on the helmets and the end zones. NBA, they got Black Lives Matter stickers on their jerseys. I'm sure there's other things that are going on in the baseball stadiums and during NHL hockey. So, is this all a bad look? Are they going to have to separate themselves, or how are you feeling given everything that's unfolded here?
I don't think people are going to separate themselves from Black Lives Matter. Just from the root message that they're promoting, in a sense. The problem is that they use that message to profit off of us. You know what I mean? And to live a facade. And I think more so they'll separate themselves from those women and maybe establish new founders to actually run the organization differently, like the NAACP type of deal. But I'm not shocked. So that's, if we want to keep it nice and concise, I'm not shocked. As soon as she said, she was worried about her safety in LA, I was like, what? We really complain? Like, you can complain this much on your $1,200 phone in LA, in United States of America, and cry and mean it. I don't, you know what I mean? So I just saw it from the get-go how much she was complaining, and then she was acting like Candace Owens was a stranger. I was like, what are you talking about? You literally know her full name.
Well, to play devil's advocate in a certain way, there have been founders of Black Lives Matter who have been killed. Some of them have been killed under, well, they have all been killed under horrible circumstances, but of course there's conspiracy theories in regards to, some versus others. So just in the overall sense, for her to feel like her life might be in danger, we don't want to necessarily just dismiss that, because there have been others within Black Lives Matter who have lost their lives during
But she made a video after it was Candace Owens, and she knows who Candace Owens is by name. It's not like it was just a bunch of skinheads or a bunch of angry black, random people or whoever just didn't like her. It was a black woman that she knew by name, public figure. She thought she was going to pull it with a Glock and just pull it on her or something. I'm confused.
Man, look, man. People show up on people's stoops every day, B. You know what I'm saying? Like this happens every day, from the highest people up to the people on your block. Somebody shows up on people's stoops every day. The things I kind of took away from this is that when she's talking about, oh, okay, well, it's not safe to just show up on people's front door. Like, bro, probably the most powerful and influential liberal person in the last 20 years made a killing doing this. Michael Moore. Michael Moore made 3-4 documentaries of showing up on people's steps, asking them what the hell is going on, going all the way back to Roger and Me. The man showed up to the front door to the CEO of Ford. You know what I'm saying? Like, this happens. When you are a person who is the front of an organization, people will go to this level to get a story. And I also found it interesting. Did you hear the part where she talked about property rights and no one should show up to your property? Now y'all believe in property rights because, when I was hearing all this Black Lives Matter stuff a couple of the last 2 summers and all this protesting, I heard a lot about the evil rich people, and I heard a lot about there shouldn't be such things as property rights. And when we was we busting down the door at Nike and stealing Nikes, we didn't believe in property rights then. Now you believe in property rights when it shows up to your front door. That's very interesting. That's very interesting that now she believes in property rights. I mean, this is legit journalism. One of my closest friends is a journalist, and I saw a story, I forget what it was about on Twitter, where somebody showed up to the door of somebody and people were like, oh my God, that's an actual legitimate journalism tactic, is when you can't get the story from the person, it's more than fair. And you can go to a journalism class, it's more than fair to show up to somebody's door if you can't get an answer for them about something, to knock on their front door. Every news channel in America, especially local news, they got some guy who, my name's Bob, and I'm going to fix your problem, and I'm going to take on the man. And he goes to show up on somebody's door and say, hey, you stole $10 from this little old lady. How would you like to explain yourself? So she's not the first person that's going to have somebody show up on her doorstep. And the last thing I'm going to say is crazy how, if you look at both these individuals, they both make their money from manipulating people's emotions. Whether we agree with those emotions or not, they both profit from manipulating emotions. Black Lives Matter founder manipulates the emotions of angry Black people. Candace Owens manipulates the emotions of angry white people, and they both get paid in the end. They both crazy. They both deserve each other.
You know what? It was crazy. Can y'all hear me all right?
Mm-hmm.
It was crazy what I thought about, man, when I seen her. I mean, first of all, I agree you shouldn't show up to anybody's house, but clearly she's doing a documentary. What scared me was looking at her reaction to that, knowing somebody, because she said flat out, Candace Owens is at my front door. But the emotion attached to that, it reminded me of like a father showing up to see his child and her getting on the phone with the cops and being like, the tears, like amplifying it. You know what I'm saying? Amplifying it to the point where it looks like an emergency situation where they come over there and get mishandled, because of something that was as simple as, yo, I want to see my child, or this is my day with the child. And then that gets amplified because of your emotions you added to it. You know what I'm saying? Which is kind of scary, because I mean, I can understand feeling having your personal space invaded, but the fact that their mission is like, I'm gonna tell you, with Tamir Rice situation, this is when I looked at Black Lives Matter. I mean, I kind of looked at them differently for a while, but when Tamir Rice's mother said that she never met any of those people, you know what I mean, she went on the news and said, my son never came up to me, Tamika Mallory. None of these people came, introduced themselves to me. So you're there fighting on behalf of this child that was, eliminated, and you don't even meet the parents of the child. You know what I mean? You just swoop in, get the promotion, get the finances, and dip out. You don't even speak or a grieving mother. So this type of stuff needs to be exploited. So I'm kind of a little tolerable of the practices that they're taking to uncover where this money is really going, because they have a lot of people believing that this money is going to reputable places, and this chick is parlaying up in a $6 million mansion. So it definitely needs to be uncovered.
Let me ask y'all, do y'all not believe that these houses are going to be acting as headquarters, like actual places of business, or what do you think when that's what she says?
Well, can I go back to your first question, Kyle? Because I have so much to say about this. First and foremost, none of these large corporations are going to detach themselves from Black Lives Matters because it's a non-for-profit. When you have a non-for-profit, you have a board of directors. The board of directors can vote and kick off the CEO of the non-for-profit. So I'm quite sure these large corporations are going to have a call to action for the board of directors for new leaderships. They probably want to see the annual report. They want to see the numbers. They want to see the metrics. So it's too large of a movement to detach yourself from. So that's just to answer your question. Regarding this whole spectacle, I have never, and if you look, just FYI, if you look at my resume, I have since day one been an advocate and activist for the safety and empowerment of Black people. But I've never once since the first day subscribed to the Black Lives Matter movement. I never agreed or understood the narrative of screaming in the streets, still asking the white man to accept our lives. It's almost like a conversation, whether you rather be Malcolm or Martin. We're going the Martin route with BLM, still begging for our lives to matter. Instead of Malcolm, we're here. We're going to protect ours. You're not going to kill us. You touch us. You touch ours. We touch yours. So I've never subscribed to it. As I did more research, there are a number of private white institutions, specifically in Chicago, that backs and fund BLM. I honestly believe Black Lives Matter is COINTELPRO 2.0. That's just my personal opinion. They are linked to the Venezuelan dictator. They're linked to Russia. They also push the narrative of womanism, the LGBTQA plus community. They create the divisive and ostracize Black men. So the whole narrative wasn't about the betterment, empowerment of Black people. There was a very specific narrative. How they allocated funds, and it goes on a macro level, is a direct representation how a lot of Black-owned non-for-profits, politicians, and leaders allocate funds or the lack thereof. So the rabbit hole goes deep, and I'll stop there to let everybody else speak.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't think she should have did the video at all. You know, I mean, she already know that she under fire, so I just think people just react emotionally, and they don't really think. It just wasn't a good look. You know, and then people, when they get in trouble, they always want to do this whole crime moment. To me, it just wasn't a good look. She shouldn't have never done it. And with you being in the public like that, and you possibly being a criminal, in some way, some form of fashion, it just comes with it. And I say it even on YouTube. You know, we are people that's in the public, so certain things come with it. You just got to understand it. But I had an issue with her just even considering even doing that damn video. It don't matter who at your damn house. It's people at at the mayor house in Chicago all the time. You know, she just understand it come with it. She's not going live complaining about it. I don't know what she thought was going to come with it, with her even allegedly doing what they say she's done. She's done. So to me, it's just bullshit. She was being a victim in that moment, because I really do think that when people get their hands on a lump sum of money where they figure out a way, it's happening all the time. It's still happening. People just ain't got caught yet. You know, people that deal with a lot of money in these organizations, these jobs, these higher up jobs, they're still in money because they put so much power into money and they don't know what to do.
You know, man, this is crazy. It's just, thank you, Amber. I mean, I ain't got to say much now. I'm just going to go off of
What?
Yeah, right on. I ain't been with the Black Lives Matter, man, when they just want to deal with black and white issues. What about the black issues, the black lives that matter amongst each other? I mean, we don't care about black on black crime. We don't care about that. Them black folks don't matter. They don't give a shit about them. They only care when it comes to the white folks and the police. See, that's some bullshit to me. I mean, that makes no sense, man. So, I can't roll with it. And then once I found out it was a whole feminist, like you said, alphabet community movement, I was just done, man. I was done with it. So, in case y'all didn't know, you are activists out there. That comes with a job. What you are signing up for, that comes with it. If you didn't do no research before you decide you want to be an activist, you need to. I promise you. Because if you're a real activist, you got to put your life on the line. You got to put your family's life on the line. You got to put your feelings and emotions, your name. It's going to get tarnished. They're going to drag whether it's true or it's false. It's coming. If you want to be an activist, you don't want to be an activist. You just want to be a money grabber. I mean, I don't blame you. Get your money. If you got some food going to donate to your sorry ass and your sorry ass organization, then get your money. I don't give a damn because I'm not giving you a dime. I won't wear your shirt. I won't buy a water from your ass. I won't donate water to your ass. Don't come to my house because I'm not going to feed you. You get shit from me because you're not going to rip my black ass off. You kiss my ass. So if you want to be a true activist, then I'm down with you. I'm for the cause. I want to see our black people win. I'm all for that. But man, I ain't for that bullshit though. And that's all it is. She bullshit. Dr. King, man, died. Malcolm X died. Frederick Douglass died. Hammond died, man, for a cause. They knew what they was dying for.
And to piggyback, you're right, Hank. When you are called to be a leader, to be affluent, influence, impactful over a mass group of people, it's par for the course that you're also going to get national recognition, media. So what Candace Owens did is typical journalism. If you look at your local news, when you see reporters waiting outside a governor's house and they're trying to have the mic in their face and they walk past with their head down and get in their car or they say no comment. What Candace Owens did was typical journalistic style, and it was for her documentary. Not saying it's right, you don't pull up on nobody's house, but when you're in this position of power over a national organization, this is par for the course.
Well, let me read y'all something real quick.
She's a public critic, so you knew that was coming. She knew that was coming.
So Candace Owens coming in front of your house and harassing you is as unacceptable as you and your partner taking donations that's supposed to be used for a cause to buy a mansion. So, kind of relates to my earlier question. Do we believe that all these properties, are going to be used as hubs for the movement? When she says those kind of things, we're going to use it as gathering points and all that. Do we just absolutely not believe that, or just what's our response to something like that?
Well, so
she has 4 properties, right? And then they bought one for the organization. She has 4 personal properties.
Bro, any Democrat do, Kyle. What's the saying? Like, I'm cool with it, but not in my backyard. They're gonna do that shit in their house.
I mean, these are properties? Were these houses? Are they warehouses? What type of property?
I was looking at it. One is like a little ranch in like Georgia. Like it's not for a meeting. Man,
come on, man.
It's like a person.
I believe the house she pulled up on is the one in Topanga Canyon in LA. And if everybody's been to LA and been up Topanga Canyon, ain't a house over there under $1 million. And probably at this point under 2 or 3 with the way housing prices are.
And from my understanding, that mansion, that $6 million mansion is supposed to have been a safe haven for families of victims of police brutality. And I guess what they said in the article is that they misallocated funds because they had to pay for the operations of that house, whether it's salary for the staff, the mortgage, lighting, whatever. And that's what it was for.
So is there confirmation, actual documentation to showcase the use of the funds or the misuse of the funds?
They haven't,
or is it all speculation?
They refused to file taxes.
They didn't file their taxes, and the Attorney General ordered a cease and desist on their organization, that they couldn't collect funds anymore. So my whole, I don't know, I think the whole thing is BS in my opinion. I don't think she should call it harassing, because someone ringing your doorbell to ask a question isn't harassment. Do I think she should have called and tried to maybe set up a meeting first? Sure. But journalism is that they go where the story is. And I don't think that there was a problem with that, because she was doing her job. Would I be upset if someone just showed up at my door? Probably.
But did you hear? She didn't call the police. She called her team. If somebody's outside my door harassing me, what do I look like? That's like me calling y'all instead of the police because I feel unsafe.
That's why it's not harassment.
The head of Black Lives Matter could not be seen calling the police with somebody on their doorstep.
But she has a white
security
guard,
totally
though, right?
off brand.
Exactly. But
No,
you
it's
call harassment. If you're being harassed, if you really feel like you're being harassed,
white man go save. That's why they got that white security guard come save her black ass.
She could have easily got a brother to be a security
guard. Why calling your black men?
But
it's crazy how every
entertainer, the fact of the matter is, if it's a
nonprofit, can get a black security guard, but she couldn't get a black security guard. Yeah. How many? Every black entertainer, even Floyd Mayweather, got a big ass black security guard. She couldn't get a black security guard.
She ain't down for the call. She fake.
Exactly.
That is really
and the fact of the matter is, a nonprofit organization, their funds have the right to be questioned. It's supposed to be public record.
Absolutely.
So I don't think that there's an issue with her trying to find out exactly what's going on with the money. Even if you're a church, your records are public. Every offering, every tithe you collect has to be public. You have to file your taxes. You have to know what's going on with the money. So if you can't show that,
then I mean, don't we think that some players are going to start to not, or maybe secretly say, we don't necessarily want those patches, or some owners are going to start to secretly say, let's quietly remove some of the, BLM symbols that they have in and around the stadium and the jerseys. I mean, if everyone is collectively saying that, this may not be the best look for business, what's keeping the NBA, what's keeping Adam Silver from, just putting end racism on the ends, or, the NFL just putting end racism and not necessarily having BLM symbolism on their products?
Well, the sad part about it, they did no research. Why did they do the research before they even did that?
That's
that
what I'm
makes no
saying.
sense.
And that kind of leads to what I was going to say too. Like, are they going to remove it? Because that'll speak volumes too, whether they choose to start removing it, and whether, like, if they decide to stand by her, because there is no confirmation. She hasn't filed her taxes. As somebody who has worked for and run a non-for-profit organization, that tax process is not easy. When you are audited, it is extremely tedious, meticulous work that goes into collecting all your receipts, all your expenses, filing everything, making sure that you're allocating funds to the correct budgets, combing through everything. It's not an easy process. Now, to everyone saying, I'm just going to give a little pushback here, because yes, you sign up for something. I agree for the most part with you guys that it seems sketchy, right? I've been a fan of the original mission of BLM, because they did do a great job of reintroducing the plight of Black people in America. That I will say. But as far as, us completely, you're trying to, gloss over the fact that even if that you're in a public position of power to represent an organization and represent our people, as Kelly said, you would be upset if somebody showed up to your door. And I do believe that Candace Owens, as another Black woman, should have reached out to her like, hey, come do this interview. You know what I mean? It could have been handled in another way. Granted, yes, that's what journalists do, but she could have handled it another way too. So I don't think that her tears were really disingenuous. Maybe they weren't because she felt unsafe. Maybe she feels like, her reckoning day is coming. Who knows what was.
I don't know. When she started crying, it just seemed so fake to me. It didn't seem real.
But Lady T, even I, as a Black woman, just said I have never once subscribed to the Black Lives Matter movement, right? And just because she's a Black woman, I could feel the plight that as a Black leader, she is taking money from our Black people and misusing it. So me giving her a courtesy call, I wouldn't assume that would have been the best bet, or out of respect for her, if I'm
But do
feeling
we
she's
know that for sure?
well, I'm saying just in perspective, in hindsight.
Right.
If I have
What?
feel the type of
You
way
know
where I'm
what?
seeing this Black woman
Lady T, I know who
taking,
you voted for.
taking money from the
No,
blood in
who
the
I voted
hands of
for.
people that believe in you, and you in a $6 million mansions in LA, and there are people that's
Right.
still destitute. There is no record of what you did with the money. Do I really owe you a courtesy call because I'm a Black woman just
No,
like you? You know,
no.
so I'm just like,
But
I'm looking at from that perspective that we
And
really don't owe her.
I mean,
and
no
it,
one owes anyone anything. But
Hmm.
I'm saying in the scheme of us being, they're both educated Black women that are doing what they are for, they're very influential, right? So
Hmm.
it could have been handled in a bit more of a tactful way. Granted, Candace Owens is a reporter, but she's a very classy reporter. I like Candace Owens. You get what I'm saying? So it's not to take away from like how it was done. I'm just saying, like, you know, it's something to be said for the fact that, like, yeah, let's not make it seem like, you know, I feel like it's just tough for me when I hear people say that someone's um playing victim because they're being emotional, and I don't think that her tears were fake. I think she, maybe, whether or not it was right or wrong, I think she was really genuinely upset with the fact that maybe she's about to deal with that. She's about to get called on
Well,
whatever it was that
does a
made them
person in
happy.
her position deserve harassment? You know, I feel like the word deserve is the word that kind of sticks out to me, because again, when you talk about being a public servant, and things aren't going right, and there's a huge amount of money that's, you know, been taken or been accepted from the community, and it's seen that you're not using it in the way that the community intended, you know, does that person or organization deserve to be, you know, harassed and be followed around and made to answer to it?
So that's my problem. I don't think that was harassment. I
Right.
think
So yeah,
that
like
was
we
the
got to
drag.
define. I think we got to actually define harassment.
I was just about to say that.
Yeah,
Right.
because you know, if you ask somebody a question one time, is that harassment? And we have so many people that
No,
if
it's
you ask them
not.
something, they'll say, you know, quit harassing me. Like they're so quick to say that, but I just asked you a question.
Hmm.
and I think if you think somebody's a liar, you don't really want to call them and say, "Hey, I'm doing some research to find out if you're a liar. So I'll be there around 5." You know what I mean? You want them to be unprepared, so that, you know, that's where you uncover the most. You catch them with their hand in the cookie jar. So in this particular situation, I don't think a courtesy call was warranted
I
due
mean,
to the information trying to be revealed.
So the
I
definition of harassment is an act or instance of harassing, torment, vexation, or intimidation. I don't think that she was being harassed.
No,
yeah, no.
it fits none of them under that, none of that, man. I mean, it's part of the job. You're an activist. That's the job you
Right.
signed up for. So if
Someone
that's the
ringing
job
your
you signed up, you got
doorbell
to
and
accept
asking
the
you a
consequences,
question.
though.
Can I say something? I guess I want to address Lady T point, because she said, you know, she wants to acknowledge Candace Owens' side. I mean, I can agree. Maybe she could have handled it differently. However, we don't know if she tried to beforehand, and this was the,
Yeah, we don't
you
know.
know, the next step. So I'm not gonna, you know, if it wasn't the next step and this was the first step, okay, I agree with you. But regardless of that, for the Black Lives Matter woman, could you also agree that the way she went about handling the situation wasn't the best, especially from the fact you were talking about being, you know, emotional? I get it, it's cool, you know, if you're a regular person, but if you're in a power position, a leadership position, an authority position, emotions and showing them, you know, man or woman really isn't that good, especially when you're handling situations like this. You're supposed to be built for this. You know what I mean? We're not expecting that. So I can tell you this much: once she's out, I highly doubt they're going to replace her with another woman. I don't think that her reacting like this helped y'all at all.
But didn't she already step down?
Yeah.
I'm just
Or
saying
she's like the
the
ex.
people who want to replace these, you know, I've seen, what is it, 2 women I've seen. I don't know the other two, but I don't think they're going to be replaced with another women. I think they're probably going to try to
One
replace
of
them.
Listen,
one of
I
one
don't.
of the other co-founders is her wife.
Right.
Oh,
And I don't
we fucking up.
disagree that
I
I
never
don't
supported this island, so I barely know. We fucking up though. What the fuck happened? How the hell?
listen, I have no
Sorry,
comment
Jay.
on that.
But
But
damn, what the?
what I will say is, Sway, yeah, maybe she could have handled it in a bit more of a politically correct way. But what I will say is that we as a people on a whole give people in positions of power like too much I don't even know what to call it, but they're humans too. Like they're humans too. This is why if there is any truth to the allegations about the misuse of funds, she's going to have to face that as a human too. So all I'm saying is if there were no other attempts made to have this conversation, it's not that anyone is owed anything. But again, people are saying everywhere. This is not the first time that these allegations were presented. People have been saying this. I'm gonna say the first time it came out was like 2 years ago that there was a chance that there was a misuse of funds there. Candace Owens has the perfect platform to like shine light on the situation. She could have definitely handled it by saying, "Hey, I know there's some word going around that you guys are misusing funds that were collected to further elevate our community. We'd like to have a conversation with you about what's going on, why you haven't blah blah blah." And if she denied it, then she could show that, she could have showed just chestnut checkers. You know what I
Well,
mean?
Lady T, I believe I feel like what you're saying is a little oxymoronic because the whole point of Black Lives Matters, when you're protesting in the street, you are disrupting something. You're disrupting the flow of the city. You are causing inconvenience to get a message across, correct? When people go into the streets and protest, you are disturbing traffic, people getting to and from to send a clear message. But then to ask somebody to be politically correct towards you when your whole movement is to disrupt is oxymoronic. And who's
Touche.
to say there has been a lot of organizations, there's been a lot of call to actions for the Black Lives Matter leaders to show their metrics, so show their analytics, file your taxes. Where is the money being allocated? So what happens when you get ignored? You get angry. And what happens when you get angry? You do something out of character, like Jay said, catch them with their hand in the cookie jar because they've been ignored. That's the whole movement of Black Lives Matter. We're going to protest and disrupt what's going on because you're not hearing us. You're still killing us. So we're going to kill your e-commerce. We're going to kill what's going on in your city. You can't get mad when it's done to you now.
You know what? When you
Yep.
put it that way, I completely agree with you. So
Let me
touche. But what
let
I
me
will
follow
say is,
up
I
with
guess
that.
it's
Oh,
kind
go
of
ahead,
like,
go ahead.
no, yeah, I'll be quick. No, like when you put it like that, I totally agree with you, Amber. Like for real, that makes complete sense. I guess I'm still looking. I haven't really been paying attention to all of what's been done with them. After a while, I totally disconnected, and it's just like I buried it because it's like it's very for me. I don't like to see organizations that are geared toward elevating our communities being highlighted in a negative way when it's supposed to be for our betterment. So I tend to check out when I say that. But at this point, they've gotten so big and such a huge organization. Then yes, absolutely. If that's we're supposed to be disruptive, in your face, hear us, and you're the face of that. Absolutely, you should totally be okay with somebody showing up to your gate to hold you accountable for some shit.
Look,
Go
man,
ahead,
check
Ava.
this out. I'm about to do something right now that could make me some potential some enemies here in Chicago.
I got
I'm
your
gonna
back,
take
David.
I'm gonna take y'all on a quick picture tour of why this is happening. Black Lives Matter is accumulating a lot of effing money. And this isn't the first time that someone has used Black people's struggles to collect massive amounts of money and then build wealth off of it. This right here, let me see if y'all can see it right here, is Jesse Jackson's house. This is a $800,000 to $900,000 house in the Jackson Park Highlands. Jesse
Can you make
Jackson
him
ain't had
bigger,
a job
JR?
in
I can't see.
Jesse Jackson ain't had a job in his damn life. Where do you think the money came from to buy a house like this? I'm not done. This is Jesse Jackson Jr.'s house. This house is a half block away from Lake Michigan. it is worth about $600,000 to $700,000. Jesse Jackson ain't had a job since he left Congress. Where you think he got the money for that? This is Jesse Jackson's son Yusef's house that he just bought on South Shore Drive in Chicago. It was a foreclosure that he just paid for $600,000. His son just bought this house. There are a grand total of 7 damn houses in the city of Chicago with lakefront access, and one of his kids just bought one. The reason I pointed that out is to say that what they're doing is what Candace is doing. While I don't agree with Candace Owens, is what she's doing is she's pulling back the curtain of the hustle. Every time Jesse Jackson, a black man stubs his toe in Chicago, Jesse Jackson show up. Every time a black man falls down a set of stairs in Chicago, Jesse Jackson shows up. Or for anywhere for that matter. There's a lot of money to be made in activism. How do you think a man that has not had a job since, I don't even know, when has Jesse Jackson had a damn job? But he's got enough wealth for him and his children to buy that kind of real estate. That's what happens when that shit goes unchecked for long periods of time. He leveraged his popularity and his power with our people to build himself personal wealth. And that's what Candace Owens is exposing that this lady is doing right now. Because we won't pay attention to it 10 years from now. She'll do an interview 10 years right now. She'll do an interview 10 years from now. And she'll be in that big old house and no one will ask her, well, what do you do for a living? How did you get this money? And what she's showing you is that when you pull on people's heartstrings, and you develop these organizations and they start bringing in money and the money isn't taken care of correctly, that money will find its way into the hands of the people who started that organization, and it will not be always used for the betterment of our people. Yeah, I'm going to have some people at my head for what I just did, but I had to put it out there like that.
They're going to show up at your door. They're
Yeah,
going to ring it.
to the Rainbow
Right.
at your door.
So
Shout
Ava,
out to the Rainbow Coalition.
so Ava, what about Candace? Would you say she's doing the same thing?
Oh, absolutely. There's a lot of money to be made.
Serial clout chasing.
Absolutely. There's a lot of, look, man, the head of the white folks and the black folks going to show up on my door. The head of the Klan, the Ku Klux Klan, lives not too far away from here in a small town called Goshen, Indiana. Now, I'm not sure if the feds got at him a couple of years ago, but that man had a huge property up in Goshen, Indiana. There's a lot of money to be made preying on people's emotions. People do it every day. It's marketing. You know what I'm saying? You see somebody walking down the street with a pair of Jordans, you ain't got one. You feel a certain way. They are playing to your emotions. And when your emotions are high, you are willing to give what you normally would not.
Yeah, I agree with that. But I think my only thing is because it's still speculation, right? Like when you are in places of power, like there are things that you have access to that you may not necessarily have had access to had you not been in those places. It does not necessarily mean, though, that you are using the funds that you were given for a particular thing towards your personal life. So that's all I'm saying is we do not actually know. Now, what we do know is that they have not filed their taxes on a not-for-profit and have not shown to the public what they're doing with the funds. So that does look a little sketchy. I will say that.
There's definite millions of dollars missing. Definitely. And then there's houses that are worth millions of dollars. And then, yes, she's written books, she's an author, she speaks. But do you really think that all this money she's accumulated that she won't file for is sitting somewhere in a bank, nice and pretty, waiting to help all the Black people, and she didn't use any of that to buy all her 4 houses?
Listen, I'm not saying that is or isn't the case. All I'm doing is playing devil's advocate because I'm not in a position to really speak on whether or not that is an actual thing.
My issue is this: if you're doing the right thing with the funds, you should not have a problem answering questions.
I agree with that.
You know, one of the problem is they used $10,000 of this Black Lives Matter money to bail out a guy who made an attempt on a mayor candidate here in Louisville, Kentucky, to bail out a guy who supposedly had mental issues, who made an attempt, shot at the man 3 times. Fortunately, it grazed his sweater and hit a couple walls, but it didn't kill anybody. But he made an attempt on somebody's life, and he's supposed to be a member, and they bailed him out. That makes no sense because they was worried about the overcrowded of jails here in Louisville, Kentucky. A waste of money.
So what do y'all think the future is then? Sway, I know that you may be the youngest on the panel. So, does Black Lives Matter just as a organization, does it even register like it used to maybe 2-3 years ago? Or is it going to go by way of some of these other, non-for-profit organizations that just kind of go corporate and you kind of never hear from them again? What's the future going to hold? Are they going to just pay whatever they owe and then keep on moving? Or have they peaked and we won't be hearing from them in the next 5 years?
I'm telling you, man, they're not going away. Like, as much as we're in these spheres and, we have this narrative pushing, if you go into the schools, into the, anywhere 19 years and younger, they're still getting pushed, the same liberal narrative, and they're still indoctrinated into this stuff. They still push it in classes. Slavery, you're going to talk slavery, you're going to talk about, police brutality in the damn media. And then there's all these movies coming out. It's like, bro, you're just indoctrinated to think that, it's like that. And you're going to believe in the Black Lives, especially if you're, young, because like the narrative they push is inclusive of all, so they're talking about the LGBTQ, women, all different types of races, and that's the narrative they push in school, so it only matches up. So I don't think it's going to go away per se, especially with the younger people or majority of Black people. I think, like I said, I think there's going to get new leadership and probably rebrand it. I pray that hopefully we get some male leadership and they actually care about Black males, not just women and alphabet people.
I mean, isn't that what we wanted? Maybe in terms of having some of these diversity initiatives going to our schools and our neighborhoods and villages and whatnot. I mean, does Black Lives Matter? Do they, if we're going to give them the credit, do they then earn any kind of a pass in all of this? Maybe to, I believe, Mrs. Khan's point in her video, she's looking for us to stand up for her because of all that she may have issued, or Black Lives Matter has be able to usher into our education system and whatnot. So, do they deserve any credit for making that happen? I mean, now in your elementary school, there's these diversity, inclusion, and equity programs, and that may not have happened without Black Lives Matter.
See, you gotta see with Candace, she has 2 horses in this race. And while I do think that she does use clout chasing, she does have a mission that is necessary. So we have to look at something's name and then actually try to determine what it really is, because you'll have diversity and inclusion, which sounds like, okay, well, we want to have a diverse race of people able to get interviewed for jobs. But what it means is that we're going to try to indoctrinate you with different literature. You know what I mean? It's different books in the library. Candace Owens, also because, that group, while quote unquote being ambulance chasers and going to all these young kids that are, police brutality circumstances. In New York, there was a ad that was on the train. Like if you grow up, there's always been advertisements. You take the train, there's always advertisements plastered. Lately, people have been having outbursts because there have been that type of literature in these advertisements. People kissing, girl on girl, male on male, etc. Advertisement. Your kids take the train. It's not like there's a rated R train car. Like, don't get on this train because these advertisements are inappropriate for your 3-year-old or your 7-year-old or your 11-year-old. They don't have that. It's just boom, right in your face. These companies are working with this organization to fund these campaigns as well. So while they're also down in Mississippi, running behind a situation of police brutality, they're also taking funding of that money to push an agenda and to promote a certain lifestyle.
Can I
You know
jump
what I
in and
mean?
follow up with that, Jay? I was
Absolutely.
just going to dive into that. I think Black Lives Matter at this point is what we like to call controlled opposition. You know, the corporations and the powers that be did handle this really smart. They saw that there was a large movement of emotion coalescing behind this Black Lives Movement thing. So the Black Lives Matter people fell for the dummy. It's happened before in Black history when we coalesce behind an issue, and then here comes corporate America, here come the feds, or here comes whoever, and says, "Here's what we'll do: we'll fund your organization, but by funding that by us funding you, we now control you. We got what you can, what information that you're going to give out, and if you don't like it, guess what we're going to do? You don't live in a $6 million house anymore because we pull funding." It's controlled opposition. Now that the Nikes, the Coca-Colas, the Amazons, and the Apples are writing the check, you got to serve that master because now they fund you. Now they have say in what you say and what you do. That's controlled opposition. Is absolutely controlled opposition.
And
So
don't
I
I'm
just
sorry,
really
real quick.
quickly.
I,
Go ahead.
No, I was saying, and the figureheads, the people that are put in place as like the Mount Rushmore of Black Lives Matter, don't think that those people weren't picked specifically. You know what I mean? Like a person like my son, I used to follow his rap career. I know his story. Don't think that he wasn't picked specifically to appeal to a certain demographic of people. You have the retired gangster who's now an activist. You have the everyday Black woman, raising her kids, that appeals to the kind of middle America Black woman. Then you have the home girl who might or might not be gay. You know what I mean? They handpick these figureheads, I think, purposefully to drop our defenses.
So would you guys say it's fair to say that the organization is somewhat of a democracy in and of itself?
Well, with that, I want to welcome Dr. Eugene Steele. How you doing, sir? What do
Hi.
you think in regards to that? What do you, for Lady T's question?
Yeah, I'm doing fine. And, I just want to make a quick comment. This morning, there was talk about, we needing economic empowerment in which we do. And we have missed so many opportunities for that now. And I think that the situation with the BLM organizers, that was the worst example I have seen. I mean, they created all these funds, which could have used to enable this empowerment that we needed. But, unfortunately, they put it in the pocket. And like I say, we have so many opportunities to empower ourselves economically, but, we keep missing the mark. That's all I want to say.
If you look up your local database, there is a lot of Black-owned non-for-profits that don't get recognition, don't get the funding or the opportunity or the resources. There are so many churches, programming to help people get jobs, recreational activities for kids. For one, they make these smaller organizations go through hell and high water to get any type of funding. If you do get hand chosen to get funding, they pretty much own you. They will tell you how to allocate the money that will fit their narrative. Unfortunately, there's a lot of non-for-profits who don't understand that a non-for-profit is still a business. It still has to be ran like a business. You still have to pay salaries. There's still operational costs. There's still, annual reporting that has to be done. So this is on the auspice of just not the Black Lives Matter, but there's a lot of organizations who have fumbled the bag. Maybe not even due to ill intentions, but not knowing what the hell they were doing with this money. And a lot of people get affected because of this. And then it get cocktailing us not believing in these organizations anymore and not having faith in them. So Yeah.
Thanks a lot, and thanks for having me.
Thank you, John. I appreciate you. Sway, before you go, what do you think? What are your thoughts? You know that they're not going to go anywhere. You've made that clear that they're corporate now. So is all this just a hiccup in history for Black Lives Matter, or is there going to be any kind of lasting impression? Is the movement too big to where something like this is going to even impact them? What do you think is going to even come out of all this, and what could be Candace's real goal here too? Is it to shut the organization down, or just some accountability from the founders?
I would hope it would be accountability. Like I said, I'm not one to dismiss Black Lives Matter right out because they have so much influence. I wish they would just influence it in the right way. You know what I mean? And I guess the only change, if we're ever going to get rid of it or not, is they keep going down the path of only trying to save Black women and the LGBTQ and everybody else basically except Black boys. And if more fathers get into the home and change the narrative of how important it is to have Black men in our lives, because if we understand that as a community, we wouldn't support this outright, because the whole mission statement had nothing to do with Black men or the Black boys and how we can better as a whole. So that's kind of how I feel about it. I mean, I pray that they do switch up because they have such a good, like I said, influence, and maybe it would actually save more people in the long run. Especially, my prediction is we not gonna be saved really like the community we gonna want until my grandkids. So all y'all gonna be dead. I'm gonna be on the deathbed. But maybe my kids, if they actually can do, I don't have to see my grandkids be the change. Maybe my own kids, but Candace Owens. She's doing journalism work, so I don't knock her for not going out the door. I just wish this woman wasn't crying about it. Like, you're supposed to be a public figure, a leader. You're making millions of dollars. You're in LA. What are you crying about? You know what I mean? I get it. You're a woman, so you can pass. But if that was a man up there, nobody would have been accepting his crocodile tears. Nobody would have been like, why the fuck are you crying? So
well, you can't. What's making it hard for her is that you can't ask and cry for protection while being secretive at the same time.
Yeah. So
especially using the same tools that you are protesting against. You live in an area where not that all the houses are seven figures, and I guarantee you don't nobody around there look like you, and you using a white man for corrosive power for protection. Like, how does that look to somebody that live in the hood that's got people busting shots on the block every day? They nobody don't want to hear that. There it is.
And I don't know if anyone else is like me, but I'm never one to jump on to like the bandwagon right away. I like to see
Definitely
them go
not.
through trials and tribulations and how it's going to mess up. Like, even when the PS5 came out, I was like, I'm not buying that right away. Everybody probably got a defective one. Somebody probably got a fucked up controller that blew up in their face. I'm gonna let them figure this out before I buy anything. So I let everybody
I bought one as a gift.
I can't be done with a group I never got started with. So the hell with that.
Hank, what about it? What did you feel like was not trustworthy? Was it the movement or the messages? How people around you may have interpreted it? Like, what made you not trust it from the jump?
I mean, when I first seen it, I thought it was going to be a good thing. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Black Lives does matter. But then I followed them on Instagram and I read their mission statement. I like, man, okay, well, nothing about this matters to me. Not what she was saying. I wasn't for it.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I didn't even realize it was an organization at first. I was just like, yes, Black lives do matter. Like, absolutely, we matter. Like, I didn't realize it was an organization. And then when I started hearing, the allegations about, like, other people of other races or from wherever, destroying properties and then trying to make it seem as though it was like, the protesters, then I was kind of like, damn, like, come on, like, can we do anything like properly without some extra, like, just deceptive stuff being added to it? So then I kind of just like was like, okay, I'm just gonna sit in the back and continue to support my people how I support my people and run with folks that support my people in a way that we support them. So yeah.
You know, I had a
So I
moment
have
with
no
them.
like problem
Go
with.
ahead.
Oh, go ahead, Aven.
No, well, I'm gonna be real quick. My moment with
Go ahead. Yeah,
them.
I know you gotta go.
Well, yeah. It was, I think it was the summer before last when all the protests and the rioting was happening. I had a moment with them where I knew they was full of complete horse crap. So I live kind of on a dividing line in Chicago. I live in the Beverly neighborhood, and Western Avenue divides Beverly from Mount Greenwood. And if you know anything about Chicago, Beverly is a really upscale neighborhood. And then Mount Greenwood is not so much upscale, but it has a that's where all the cops live at in Mount Greenwood. All the shady cops, all the racists live on that side of Western. They were doing a protest, right? And they were walking down Western Avenue. They got to 111, and the police told them they couldn't go to Mount Greenwood. And they were like, yeah, we don't want to go to Mount Green. I was like, y'all ain't about that life. And then they made the left turn. They went back east down 111th, and they went stop in front of the police station. And that police station is in a black neighborhood. Like, I was like, who are you talking to at this point? The people that you say you upset with is over there. You know what I'm saying? Like, you stopped in front of the police station in the hood and tore up traffic and came down here making all this noise for people that already might agree with you. And I knew they was on BS then, because it's like, if you really want to get to the point and confront, they should have made the right turn instead of the left turn. And then when I've had, you know, conversations with, and I had individual conversations with people in that group, there was this like, how dare I, my black male self, actually show up and question what they doing. And to go back to what Sway is saying, there seems like there is no voice within that organization for me. It was all about what they were standing up for trans people, they were standing up for black women. But I was like, okay, so how you feel about black? They had no answers for that. And that's when I was done with it.
Aven, I'm gonna piggyback. The day I went viral, Aven, with that photo, when I captured a iconic photo during the protests of George Floyd. So I got word that there was going to be an organized protest downtown Chicago. So I got there an hour early with another photographer. And as I looked, as people was gathering, I noticed that none of these people looked like me. You had the LGBTQ community. You had a lot of white people, a lot of women, a lot of Hispanic women. As the crowd was getting thick, obviously the police officers were out there on their bikes, on their horses, in the cars, lined up, just prepared. And after 2 hours of gathering, people were screaming, chanting. Guess who were the antagonizers? Not taking up with the police, but guess who started walking up to the police, screaming pigs and all types of vulgarities in their face? They didn't look like me. And so what happened was that night, that's when the looting and the rioting happened. So by the time black people caught wind of it, and by the time black people protesting, the rioting already happened. So by the time the news coverage got there and they were showing the looters, they were showing the black people. But they weren't the one that began the protest in the first place. And that's what people don't see when they rely on mass media. And I saw this with my very own eyes.
Somebody got some new J's that night, huh?
I'm gonna ask a question and then I gotta go. How many of y'all have actually directly out of your own pocket donated to Black Lives Matter?
Not a damn dime.
They ain't get. I
heard
told you,
this
they ain't
before.
get a bottle of water from me. Shit, they ain't get a meal, nothing. I ain't buying hot dogs or nothing from that black ass.
I've heard this
May I
before.
say something?
Okay, go ahead, Kevin.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know you were making a point.
No. I just said I don't know if this is true, but I've heard this before. But someone said black people did not fund Black Lives Matter. It was the whites and the LGBTQs. It wasn't us.
If
so
you look
I
at-
mean, even
you
if
look at
they
the
was
neighborhoods,
finessing
like
money,
if you look in the white neighborhoods, there in the white neighborhoods, you see
was
the
white
BLM signs.
Hell,
in
I
your
was
window.
just gonna say that.
All in the business.
it was
Just
white
gonna say
money.
that.
They were finessing the whites. It wasn't us per se, but
That's because
That's a
they feel them white folks feel guilty. That's why they doing that bullshit, putting a sign in the goddamn yard.
I'm surprised they not an uproar. Like, yo, what the hell?
Look, you go
No, but that's
It's
the point.
fashionable to have a Black Lives Matter sign in the yard.
That's the point though. Like Amber was saying, she was explaining the non-for-profit groups and all of the red tape they have to go through. Those groups are Black Lives Really Mattering, because when you're trying to, I don't know if y'all watch Atlanta, and that episode where Paperboy was trying to get funding so he can invest in the community, and the dude was like, fam, why would they fund the competition? You know what I mean? So, like Amber was saying, those particular groups that are really truly trying to make a difference, they're gonna have all the obstacles in the world because Black lives really matter to them. This right here is smoke and mirrors.
So can a
Mm.
real movement driven by the advancement and encouragement of Black boys, can something like that ever really take hold? Or
Absolutely.
We got to do the work. We got to do the work, man.
Absolutely. And it's happening. It's happening. There are organizations that are being funded that are actually doing the work. But like Amber said, we have to research them and we have to continue to support those organizations and highlight those organizations and not be led to pay attention to organizations that are doing things that aren't what they're supposed to be doing, essentially. So,
And I think when I first
it requires work. You know what I mean? A perfect example of this, right? And Amber has worked very closely with them. There's a high school here in Chicago called Leo. It's a small private Catholic high school that's 100%. I think they're pretty much all Black boys in the school. They may have a couple of straggling saltines that pop up here and there, or whatever. But from top to bottom, the organization is run for the most part from principal to janitor by Black men. And they've had this bit of a renaissance in the past couple of years because they put a no-nonsense Black man in charge who cares about those young men. And that's work. It requires work. You say what you want about the Black Panthers and their politics, but they got into the community because they was doing work in the community. People respected them because they were feeding people. They were educating people. They were protecting people. And you running to Coke and Amazon for checks, that ain't work. That's hustling. That's not work.
they had the peg. They planned. It's POE. Plan, organize, execute. That's what they did. And a lot of that isn't happening, or we're not seeing it happen, and that's why people are questioning it. And then when you're being questioned by, similar to, I think, the issue that folks had, ironically, oh my God, I can't believe I'm about to make this correlation, but the same issue that people had with the police and wanting to defund the police because they're saying our tax dollars are paying for these individuals to essentially beat down on us. The organization is allegedly taking money from people that want to uplift and elevate our community, but not answering the questions that need to be answered by the people within the community that are supporting what you're supposed to be doing for us.
And
so it's interesting.
And people simply just want to know, where's the money being allocated? Like, I don't think that's harassing. I don't think that's being intrusive. Like you said, Lady T, I didn't know it was an organization. I thought it was just like a phrase or a slogan, until there's a whole organization. Okay, where's your annual report? Those who work with and for non-for-profits, where's the number of kids and families you've helped? Where's the annual report? Show us how much money you raised, your donors. You have to have all of that listed and itemized, and it should be public record. And the fact is, you didn't file your taxes because you said you're triggered, but then you're crying live on Instagram.
I remember
what?
that.
Wait, was that an actual thing? She said she didn't file her taxes because she was triggered.
The half said she was triggered.
See, I didn't even know. I didn't even know. Like, that's kind of
I need to
wild.
call my CPA and let him know
So
I'm
now,
triggered.
through all of
Can I
this.
say something?
Oh yeah, go ahead, Kelly. Go ahead. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
I was just going to speak because you asked earlier on where you think the Black Lives Matters is going for the future. And I just wanted to say about the movement slash organization, because I know some people see them as two different things. I have no problem with shining a light on a problem. So for them to illuminate something that's going on, I don't think Black people should be murdered in the streets and that just be swiped over and not seen or be swept under the rug. I definitely think I appreciate that they did that, but I think it's turned into something completely different now. And in the future, I feel they should take that money, that all those millions that they have had donated, and have an actual cause for it. Like, what are we going to do with this money? How are we going to allocate it to actually help the people that we say we were supposed to help with the money? So that's what I would like to see happen. Will that happen? Probably not. But like, I think they should take the
Nope.
money and like, here's a check. Let's give it to a family that was. Are they doing that? Has that happened?
Not to
It
my
definitely, it
knowledge.
certainly hasn't been a public, a public thing. I think that the mother, Tamir Rice, might have said that in addition to everything that's gone on, she has not really received any money. And the murder of Tamir Rice was one of the launching points of Black Lives Matter movement, at least from a social media standpoint. So, in terms of do they just straight write checks to people? I don't want to say no because I don't know, but if they have, they certainly have done a poor job of making that known.
Then what is the purpose of the money they're collecting then?
I imagine is to buy these homes to then make them centerpieces for meetups and stuff like that. I think
Do
that's
you
what
know,
the
Amber? Like, yeah.
that's what
there are
the investor
activists
is.
that are like shit poor and broke. These
Mhm.
people still have to make a living.
Mhm.
That's the whole point. When anybody out there who wants to do a 501c3, when you're trying to get funding, first of all, you have to make sure you pay yourself a fair, decent salary. You do have to pay a staff. You still have to have operation costs.
Yep,
You
you're bored.
your
Oh.
board, media, marketing, and then programming and information for what you're going to give to the people you're helping. But see, that it goes back to a lot of Black people with good intentions don't understand that this is still a business. So people still have to get paid. What's the point of being an activist if you're living in? There's been activists living in their car because they down for the cause, but they have no money because all day they're fighting for the cause. They still have to make a living. It's
I
about just
understand
being
that.
honest.
I
It's about
understand
being
that, but it's
fair.
like there's pastors who they collect
I
their
was just about
offerings,
to say that.
right? And they live in these $1 million homes. Yes, the pastor should be paid because that's what they do for a job. That's what they do for a living. They're given to the people. That's what they take their time to do. I think they should be paid. But when they buy these outrageous houses and cars and have gold seated toilets, I think that is a misuse of the funds. So that is what I have a problem with.
Yeah,
Like, where is the money going?
I agree with that because when you go see when people who are, I mean, again, these are humans that probably didn't have access to the amount of funds that they end up having access to and feel like they should, since this is now their job to do whatever it is, work for whatever cause that they're working for. They think that they're probably entitled to that lifestyle change, despite the fact that they're not or have not yet done whatever it was that they were supposed to have done, within their organization. And I think that's a major part of the issue too, because
that's their job. That I'm cool with that. Down for the cause, a business, all that. But after all that's said and done, where's the money going?
And so, but that
Why
goes
do you
back
have
to even
4
who's
homes
on your board. Typically, your board of trustees, board members will say, "Okay, let's look at the numbers. You are going to get this salary. This person's going to get this salary." That's typically what your board members are over. Everything has to be voted and agreed upon if you're operating your non-for-profit correctly.
Right.
And think
And I
about
know my dad was a pastor. Like I know, like, yes, the pastor has to be paid, the rent has to be paid on the church, blah, blah, blah. And then after that, where does the money go? It's usually allocated. And yes, you have to file your taxes. So where are the millions of dollars? That is what I have a problem with. And don't cry your little stupid ass crocodile tears when you're stealing money and buying your own personal home and you're
Oh,
not helping the people you say you're going to help. That is the problem I have.
go off.
Tell them how you really feel.
All right, so you
Kelly.
guys,
Come
all right,
on
so
this
you,
Sunday.
yeah, so you guys saying that pastors should probably they should probably dumb it down a little bit, like the lifestyle with the bigger houses and cars.
Absolutely.
It
Y'all
has
supposed
to
to
be
be
a
humble
It
like
gets
Jesus.
ridiculous.
They
It
actually,
gets
that's
ridiculous.
actually part of a, you know, the reason they won't tone that down, that's actually part of a gospel that they teach. It's called prosperity gospel. They actually go it. So if you Google it, like I haven't, man, it just triggered me because I haven't thought of this in a couple of years. But if you Google it, it's called prosperity gospel. And the reason why these pastors live unashamed of their wealth is because they actually teach this in the church. That if you do what you're supposed to do in the church, the money will come. I don't know how you make that connection when you write a check every damn week to somebody who ain't got no damn job, but that's what they teach.
So, I mean, if you do what you do in life and live according to your purpose that God set for you, then the money will come. But if you're taking the money from God's children,
I get up, yeah, I get up and do everything I'm supposed to do 7 days a week. Ain't no damn Bentley in my driveway, so I don't know what they talking about.
Don't worry.
I want to
Ace.
get Daylight in.
I'm
What's
gonna
going
get you
on?
right up.
What's
I'm
going
gonna
on,
start
man?
a scam.
It's
And we
coming
all
though.
get
It's
paid,
coming.
baby. I'm gonna start a scam. We gonna all get paid. Yeah. Hold on, baby. I got you.
you gotta believe it. You gotta feel it in your bones. That's that
Oh
affluence.
my God! Go ahead, brother.
Lakeith, you have
Welcome
to
to the
change
show.
the show to church
Hold on.
on Sunday mornings
So I
with
just wanted to
Lakeith.
come on here real quick and say
Shout out to the
where
heathens.
the funds were going, where they were lobbying, so it was going to campaigns. I know that a good portion of it was donated to Biden's campaign in 2020. So that's where I think they said it was about estimated 65% of it. So you know, it was what 90 million that they took in. So if you over half of that is going to campaign, so you know where all that's just gone. But
The
what I was
90 million?
yeah, they took in 90 million, almost 100 million.
Wait, who did? I'm sorry, I missed it.
The
Black
Biden campaign.
Caucus Incorporated.
I
Black
want
Lives
to see
Matter
that,
Incorporated.
No,
please.
Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives
I
God,
Matter.
want
They
they
90
They took-
million.
took in 90
they
million.
took in 90 million from Biden's campaign.
No,
No,
Black
Oh,
Lives
they gave
from
it
Matter
to
is the
Egypt,
somebody.
organization.
and they took an over
Oh, we
half
gotta
of
do
that.
one
It's
at a time. Y'all let
estimated
them
that
talk.
over half, and it's estimated that over half of it was donated to was contributed to Biden's campaign, but what they received in donations was approximately 90 million.
Oh, interesting.
So what I was going to suggest is like she could have took these homes and she could have used them as rehabilitation centers, or she could have,
Something.
child care. Like child care is a huge problem, especially in the Black community. That was your moment. You could have had these homes and had these set up for child care centers, even maybe a small school. It was just ridiculous. And
Is it too late for her to say, yeah, that's what y'all didn't give me a chance to say what I was going to do with them? You know what I mean? Is it
She's
too late?
going to
no,
have to sell 3 of her houses. She's going to have to
it's
sell
too
3
late.
of her houses.
It's too late.
And this is the thing, man. Some people don't realize they're on the wrong side until they try to make some real change and somebody taps them on the shoulder like, hey, the fuck are you doing? You know damn well we're not about to help no damn Black people. And go sit your ass down. Enjoy. You got a mansion,
Yeah,
right? 6
yeah,
million? Throw a party. Have some fun. Don't come to me with that dumb shit no more.
yeah. It
So
happened
where
in the
does this
60s.
leave? So where does this leave Candace Owens? You know, she's no stranger to controversy throughout her political career. She is, a pundit on conservative talk radio and conservative programming. So a lot of people might feel like, she's just as much being used as a tool as anyone else. So, but she has had some points here and there over her career that a lot of people in Black culture have related to and agreed with. So is this what's in it for her in all this? You know what I mean? Is she looking for points? What does she really gain?
It's
I
a
don't
Well,
know, man, but hey,
up.
Candace Owens kind of sexy to me. I'm in love with them smart women, so I ain't
she
gonna lie.
doesn't
My God.
she doesn't like you. Her
We can
husband's a
get
white
that.
man. But Black
Now,
Lives Matter, they
now,
definitely helped a lot of Black people like to appear in spaces that we weren't before, at least in the earlier part of the movement. I will say that. But for whatever is happening with the whole funding and the allegations and that stuff is just very disheartening, right? Because no one wants to feel like even the fact that Black is on that, like I'm not even gonna hold you. Like, I stopped identifying as a Black woman in America a while ago when I learned better. Yes, I'm Afro Caribbean. I identify with my Black people, that's, whatever, for lack of better terms. But the whole deceptive, narrative surrounding it is just very disheartening, man. It really is.
Listen, all skin folk and kinfolk, first and foremost. I think a lot of people need to be mindful of groupthink. Before they subscribe, join, donate to any organization, do their research and see if it aligns with them. If it don't, you can still advocate and activate on your own behalf in your own way.
I just want Candace Owens. Now, I can't knock a good hustle, even if it's toxic sometimes. I just can't. It's America, and she found her market. There's a absolute thirst for Black people, from white people, to find Black people who identify with them and their perceived issues. You ever been told?
Hey, man,
you
kind of going hard. Okay, listen, I've been.
Well, I'm gonna give you an example of it, right? I'm gonna give an example of the attitude. You ever find yourself agreeing with a white person about something? It could be, the sky is blue. You look up and you say, "Oh shit, the sky is blue," or whatever. And the white man look up and say, "Oh, it is blue." You know what? You're one of the good ones. That's who Candace Owens is.
Okay,
that's who she is, and she knows that there are white people out there who are desperate to have Black people who see the world as they see it.
Is that how you consider Black Republicans?
Yeah.
I mean, it depends on. I think it depends on what kind of Republican you're talking about. I guarantee you, if I had an option every damn 2 years to vote, okay, I only want the Republicans that's going to take care of the economy and not raise my taxes. They'll get my vote every time. I don't want to vote for the ones that, I don't want to vote for the ones that want to take us back to 1922. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I could separate them and sort them out, I would vote Republican every time.
So any Black person, I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying, and some Republicans are voting strictly based on religious beliefs. That's all the other stuff they're not aware of. It's just.
But let's be real. The Democratic Party didn't do much for us either. So any Black person who doesn't subscribe to groupthink, think for themselves, stand in their own paradox, and which may be against the masses of Black people. They kissing ass to the white. They shucking and jiving for the white man because they may not agree with the whole masses of Black people.
Well, Amber, I hear what you're saying, but those type of Black Republicans, they don't get platforms. They're out there. I know two of them personally. They just don't get platforms. You'll see a Candace Owens get a platform before you see someone else who is Black and conservative, but not necessarily subscribing to what white conservatives are preaching. And so when they do that, they shut them down. I forget the young man's name, but he came out, I think he was out last year, and they had Project Veritas had caught him on a hot mic talking about how he was using Candace Owens and he was using a couple other Black Republicans. Now he's gone. You don't even hear about him anymore.
Yeah, the Republicans are looking for hardcore ideologues. They're not looking for consensus builders. They're not looking for people with common sense. They're looking for people who can stand up there, act crazy or whatever, and say crazy things and make crazy white people even more crazy. They're feeding into a narrative. Like I said, if I would have run for public office right there, I would run as an independent centrist. I would probably be more of a libertarian. If I don't like, if you want to go in the backyard, put on a tutu and light yourself on fire, do you stay fuck off my property? That's essentially what what libertarianism is, right? They don't want that. They don't want a Black conservative to go down that road because that's actually what conservatism is. It is private property rights, individuality, and low taxes. Now, the damn Republican has ran on that platform in 35 years. maybe even 40. You know what I mean? They want to talk to you about guns and aborted fetuses, and that's all they want to run on. That's what old Republicans used to run on. These are the new Republicans. They don't want black people who have, old black Republicans will probably be Martin Luther King.
So
He
you
was a
see,
damn
Candace Owens,
Republican.
you see Candace Owens being used as a tool, and not just her having
She
the
knows it.
audacity.
She
I don't agree
knows
with a
it.
lot of things she say, but there's some things she say on point. She just got
Mhm.
big
No,
balls. She
there's
has
always
audacity.
going to be a smidgen of truth in what you say when you're being a bit of a demigod, you know? Like I don't want to. I know, like in political discussions or whatever, there's always, you never want to equate anybody to Hitler. You just steer away from that because it's too extreme. But people have to remember: A, Hitler was elected, and B, he gave that populace little grains of truth, and then amped up the volume on the crazy once he got entrenched in power. You know, what we have in the black community is a leadership void, and when there's a void, the craziest and the wildest people step into that void, and that's what we have right now. You got this crazy lady up in Topanga Canyon crying because somebody done showed up to her door, and then Candace Owens up showing up with her messed up hairline. You know what I'm saying? You got these two extremes stepping into the power void. You know what I'm saying? Because there's no rational leadership there in the first damn place.
And we have the
I'll be
void
the
of
first one to
leadership.
admit, man, I made a mistake and I voted for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, man. So I want to tell the American people I'm sorry that I voted for them two sorry ass bastards. I apologize. Please accept my apology.
Pull up on me. Pull up.
Yeah, I guess that's a good question. I mean, I want to say it's a good statement, man. But one of the things that I've learned is about the importance of politics. I want to say it had to be within the last 3 to 5 years, and even like the Black Lives Matter, I didn't even know it was an organization. I'm just now getting hipped. I want to say about a year or so about the non-for-profits. You know, I wasn't woke enough, and I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one. I'm not afraid to admit it, but once you start getting exposed to these things, then you just start understanding how this world is working. You know, there's a lot of things that's happening behind the scenes that we are unaware of. And that's why it's important to have these discussions. And I often say, let's just have a conversation because people are learning. There may be a lot of people that may not have known any of this, but we're highlighting the things and we don't have all the answers, but at least we're having the conversations for people to just think and ponder. You know, sometimes it may take a day or two before you even realize what was just said, and that's okay. But I'm all good for just having these conversations. So I definitely appreciate the information that you guys are providing. I know I sit back and I'm quiet because I don't know about a lot of this shit. You know, I just know that it was a moment, it was something to be talked about. And I appreciate you guys' perspectives and insight.
Yeah, and before we wrap for the day, today again is Mother's Day. Again, we want to wish every mother out there, mother figure, a happy Mother's Day from the bottom of our hearts here at
I
the
think she
Lapeef
might be
Network.
watching.
Yes. And with that, before we wrap, I want to welcome OG J Speed. How you doing this morning, sir?
OG?
You're on mute, sir.
Up, you're on mute.
Yeah, good morning. I haven't went to sleep, so I've been up at night dancing around in these YouTube streets. Just like to say
show, OG.
Just like to say good morning to the network, and I'd like to say to all distinguished guests, it's just gonna probably be something short. Been around the block a little bit, and these are some of the things the political arena have dished out to us for many, many years. We give our votes to one party. It's no different than people who I remember when I was coming up, we never got free samples in the mailbox like they did in the white community. It wasn't because it was being racist. It's just black people just buy the same thing over and over again. And so that's what we do with our votes too. I think we're gonna have to be a lot more savvy when it comes to our votes. We're gonna have to vote our best interest regardless of what party it is, because there's only one bird with two wings in the first place. There's only one difference between Democrats and Republicans when you just really breaks it down. One want to kill you before you're born, the other one will kill you after you're born. So when you look at it in that way, that's just what it is. If people hadn't been so tied up in the emotion, what was going on in the community when it came down to policing, that we would have went and read the mission statement of the organization in the first place. I monitored 2-day parades out here in California, and once I went and read the mission statement, it had nothing to do with what they was marching in the street for. Matter of fact, they wanted to just clean out the regular family, and matter of fact, they even called women cis. They didn't even call them women. And so and now they have changed that mission statement, but I'm pretty sure there are a lot of people who have screenshots of their first mission statement. So it was really to bring in the transgender, their agenda for the gender. I would say the alphabet people. At one time, they did have all the consonants, but now they just starting to move in and getting some of the vowels now. But anyway, due to that point, I think we have to be a lot smarter in how we go about and do things. We can't have people, and I can't disagree with all her years of work, but we can't have people like Maxine Waters who comes out and tell us what to do. That's like a preacher on the pulpit who tells you what the scripture is saying, and you got the Bible in your hand, and you're not even reading yourself because you haven't read 3 before or 3 afterwards. So you just going on and exactly what that person is saying. And I hope the younger generation learn from our mistakes, because we left this stuff in y'all hand, and y'all gonna have to take this torch and be a lot more smarter, because we had a different agenda at that time. We were just trying to be treated like human beings. Y'all got a little more open space now where you can use your intelligence, your smartness. You got some of the most smartest people on this earth right here in the United States, and help to share my same melanated skin. And y'all have to become the leaders now. You have to. For whatever reason, you go have to, because we can't keep leading our people into the slaughter pen to get slaughtered by either side. So I would tell people, before you start just putting your vote out there, please go and read the people policies. Please, just do that.
Thank you, LG.
Yeah, I mean, if there's anything to take from this, we should all be doing our research. I think that Black Lives Matter may have definitely benefited on us all making emotional decisions and being moved by some of the images that we saw online, especially given the last 3 years where we've been home with this whole pandemic situation, and we had no choice but to just be emotional in our feelings at home all day long. So, but like OG said, we really do have to make a more concerted effort to do our research and really see what some of these organizations are about, because they could be saying one thing in the streets, but using our donations for something completely different. So with that, we want to maybe end the stream a little early today. I know I want to go see my mother. We all got our moms that we want to go give our flowers and cards and hugs and kisses to,
and air fryers.
Yes. Before we end our show, we would be remiss if we did not mention and send our sincerest condolences to the family of Kevin Samuels, particularly his mother and his daughter. He did unexpectedly pass away this past week. A very prominent figure in the manosphere. He's been a guide to so many. Wherever you landed on his arguments, whether you thought he was 100% right on or 100% off, he introduced us to some conversations that we are all now going to carry in his honor. So again, we here at the Lapeef Network on Lapeef and on a Sunday, we definitely want to send our sincerest condolences to his family. I know it's a sudden and tragic loss, so definitely want to send our prayers out to them.
Happy Mother's Day to all you beautiful young ladies out there.
Thank you. Happy Mother's Day, ladies.
Yeah,
Happy Mother's
Day to all the mothers out there, including the ones that's on the panel. Real quick, make sure you guys feel the teach. Click that link in the description. Get your 30% off along with the free gift. I did pin to the top of the chat. Sage Talk with Lee is happening at 2 p.m. Let me move this out the way real quick. But this is his discussion for today in honor of Kevin Samuels, Godfather or Saint. And if you guys pay attention to the top, it says, "What's next?" What's next? So it should be a powerful conversation that is happening today at 2 p.m. CST. So make sure you guys tap in for that. Again, that link is posted at the top of the chat right there. Get your seat, go ahead and click in and reserve, because I know we are ending early, so I don't want you guys to miss that if you're not out there with the mothers. hit the like button. Also subscribe. Make sure you share this stream. It's very important to get these conversations out there. And it's okay if we've so-called made a mistake on our decision when it comes to voting. But there are a lot of polls that are happening even in between the presidential election. So let's make sure that we get familiar with that, because I was one of those people that had been brainwashed to think Democrat instead of like looking at the individual. I was caught on the fence when I voted, and I was like, damn, like, should I vote for Biden? I've heard some things, but so I'm just sitting there just contemplating. And that was part of the growth right there. That was a growth moment, because moving forward, because we can't go back and just try to change our past. All we can do is focus on what's in front of us. So moving forward, let's just make sure we make a conscious decision, a conscious effort to research, as we stated before on the panel, and just try to see, have more conversations. I'm all about slowing down and not making an abrupt decision just right there. You don't have to respond. You may go there and be like, damn, I need to go do some more research. Leave and come back. Leave and come back. As long as you get it in and make that decision, doesn't matter when you put it in. But just make sure that you are aware of what you're doing. So with that being said, thanks, panel. I appreciate you guys. I love you. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers.
Yes, love y'all. Be safe out there in your travels. If this is your first time without your mom, I'm sending you prayers as well on what could be a very tough day. So, definitely send everyone our prayers today.
Bye,
all right, you guys. Sage Talk.
Bye.
Sage Talk, 2 p.m.
All right, good people.
All right, y'all.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Appreciate the sub, Damien. Thank you. Shout out to the Green Gang. I forgot to do it. My apologies. Make sure you guys click that link at the top of the chat right there. That's Sage Talk with Lee, happening at 2 p.m. Central Time. So if you're not out there with the mothers, feel free to tune in. Hey, you're in the house, have your mama tune in. Make it a family event. Again, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. Salute to you guys. Appreciate the super chat for $4.99. Rasta C74. Appreciate that. That's right, American Man, Green Gang. You know what time it is. Appreciate the support. You guys are just tuning in. You missed a great show. Catch it on the replay. Again, hit that like button. Also subscribe to the channel. Thank you guys for your constant support. Sage Talk with Lee is happening at 2 p.m. Central Time. That link is pinned to the top of the chat. Shout out to the sponsor, Teej Hanley. Make sure you guys feel the Teej. Click that link. It works. I'm here to tell you. Sage Talk with Lee, 2 p.m. Godfather Saint. You don't want to miss this one. Make sure you guys go ahead and click that link. Reserve your spot. Let's go. I see you, Jada. Make sure you guys follow me on IG. It's at Lapeef_JI. Also follow the network. Just put in Lapeef Network. It'll pop right up. Let's go. Shout out to the greatest network to ever do it, the Lapeef Network. Hit that like button, subscribe to the